Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time to the channel. This one's going to be a little different because, as you can hear, I attempted to do a real-time voiceover during the gameplay, so it's going to be a little trippy. You're going to hear me talk over me, mainly because it's difficult to hear what I'm saying most of the time, but because there's some things that I do want to say that I'm not saying here in the video. This had happened right as the server started to become a little more stable during 3.18 live, right after the launch. And salvagers were a lot harder to find than they previously had been. This is really due to the fact that during the PTU, the salvaging locations and the type of ships that were salvageable were really unrealistic. And here they had nerfed it, or really made it more realistic, and salvagers are a lot harder to find at this point. So I kind of started going back to some of the old ways, like setting snares, searching the planet locations, and fairly quickly I found this target of opportunity. I also decided at the time to start experimenting again with a combination of lethal and non-lethal weapons. There was supposed to be a buff to the distortion weapons in 3.18, although I've heard there's usually a lot of changes to the distortion weapons that don't get included in the patch notes with each new patch, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I did use them here because I wanted to fully disable this ship and just kind of see what the situation was on the ground before I attempted to soft death it. And I wanted to get a scan before I made the effort to do that. And that was the other thing you heard me just say, that I was curious about whether or not it might have been an NPC, because there had been quite a lot of these freelancers that were just NPCs, and I didn't want to waste my time. So I figured I would use the distortion weapons, disable the ship. You can see the EMs coming down there. I'm waiting for them to go to 0. Then I would scan the target, see if it had any cargo, and then move in to load the cargo. But this hit's a little different because the Orphanage, which is where we are here, this is the Orphanage on Lyria, which is one of the moons of ArcCorp. But the Orphanage is a selling point for some commodities, including what we're going to find on this freelancer here shortly. So if there is cargo, then you can just load it onto your ship and sell it right here at the Orphanage. So right here, I noticed that there actually is somebody here on the planet, and his name is Crispy Bacon, and we need to deny Crispy Bacon the use of that damaged cutlass there and any other ship he might be able to use against us before we go any further. So again, I really just want to disable this freelancer and give it a good scan before I go any further. At this point, I don't even know there actually is cargo. Of course, there does end up being cargo, or there wouldn't be a video. But at this point, I don't know that. So we're just going to go around to this Drake cutter and the other ships that are scattered around, and we're just going to destroy all of them, in between continuing to disable the freelancer, because I don't actually know that there isn't somebody on board, and I don't want that ship taken off, so I'm just kind of back and forth here. Notice already got a crime stat of 2, so I am having charges pressed against me. As a career criminal, though, that's something I'm quite used to. So that's all of the ships in the area that could have been used against us destroyed. And now it's time to scan and see if there's actually anything in the freelancer. And as you can see, there is 19 SCU of Lyria. And there he is, Crispy Bacon. That was an easy kill. So what follows looks fairly easy. You know, it should be a pretty easy thing to do, to land and load cargo and sell it, but if you look up there, I now have a crime set of 3. So we're automatically going to have bounty hunters. So the clock is ticking at this point. And I don't know if you noticed that, but there was a panel that kind of came off there and fell into the ship, and that's going to be a little confusing here in a second. It blocks the actual view of the cargo at first. It looks weird. Kind of made my life a little more difficult. But like I said, the clock is ticking at this point, and we have to haul ass to get this loaded and sold.
And this is real risky by yourself.
Yes, it is.
That's just kind of how it goes. I'm going to leave the door open because I need to transfer this cargo.
And yeah, so
I need to do it pretty quickly.
like I'm saying here, door's going to stay open. And I'm going to go as fast as I can to get this loaded and sold before the shit hits the fan. And as you will see, it does. So there's that panel. At first it looked like there was no cargo, or that I couldn't get to it, but clearly the panel's not really there.
Okay, so we're going to transfer his body.
So as we all know, some of these items can be quite valuable, especially early on when we're all doing 0 to hero here. Every personal item has some intrinsic value to it. Some of them more than others, but you want to take the personal items for sure. And whenever you're moving cargo, as you can see, whether you're doing it by yourself or with a friend, there's always a chance that you can totally screw everything by incapacitating yourself. And that's the other thing, I'm mentioning it here, but if you hit the interior of a ship with cargo, it is doing an invisible amount of HP damage every time you do that. And eventually you will hard death, aka explode the ship, if you do it too often and too much. Obviously that's bad. So yeah, there's going to be a couple of times here where I load cargo and I'm going to speed it up. That way we don't have to sit there and watch cargo loading simulator. But you know, anytime you're doing something like this and you know you've got a crime stat of 3 and you know anybody, even a non-bounty hunter, could come along at any moment, the tension is pretty high. It's sketchy, to say the least.
You blow up your ship doing this, but I just have a feeling that this guy's pissed. He may be somewhere like ArcCorp 1, and he is going to come back and kill me as soon as he can. We're going to get the weapon out here. Look at that. Yeah, there's his body.
That's the other thing is, this whole time somebody can be watching me, and you just don't. You can't afford to just be lazy and assume that nobody's around. That weapon needs to be up. There could be somebody right in here, ready to shoot me. So remember, I don't actually have all 19 SCU of Laranite loaded in the blue yet. I'm just trying to get something out of this. Alright, so there's about half of it.
Get the rest of it if we can. Get the damn weapon out.
So sometimes I do. Sometimes I do talk to myself while I'm in the middle of this, just to kind of remind myself of what I should be doing or what I should have done.
That was fucking stupid.
That's not it.
I'm trying to pull my tool out here, and it just won't let me. There we go.
All right, so once again,
This particular box
I'm gonna
right here.
fast forward this segment.
There's this.
But every minute that passes is another minute that somebody is probably taking my bounty and on their way to kill me. Not to mention, and I guess this is just the way that I think because it's what I would do. If I were Crispy Bacon, I would be on my way back as soon as I could to kill me for what I had done to him. The more you do these kinds of things in game, the more you start to get kind of a sixth sense for when your time is running out. And I was starting to feel that here. I kind of know about how long it takes to respawn, get in a ship, fly to a location, or take a bounty contract, locate the target, arm up, find the proper ship, fly to the target, and I knew it had been about that much time by this point.
Alright. Stay in there. Alright, let's go.
So that was the last box. It's all loaded. And mainly what's on my mind
Because I was prepared to fight
at this point
I'm very sluggish. It's a pain in the ass. One more check of the sky here before we sell.
is that I'm probably going to get in the middle of selling this cargo and either get killed
Game, thank you.
or get killed on the way out.
Go, go, go.
And I'm just hoping that
Be a partner or an escort.
that doesn't happen.
Oh, it already happened.
And it did.
Back. Fucking fuck, game.
So the question now is, how competent is the person that's after me? And do they really have any idea where I am? Is my ship destroyed yet? Clearly it's not because you can see the cargo. I did see the 3 SCU of Laranite that was actually on the grid,
Except,
but I made a conscious decision here to abandon selling it right now and try to get the hell out of Dodge.
already sold his shit.
Most of
Let's
it.
see if we can make it. Let's see if we can make it. Come on, baby. Fuck
So I had no idea what to expect. Alright, so that's who he was shooting. He had decided to land and come at me on foot, but then he sees me running for my ship and he says, never mind. Took me a second to realize that. So I realized this is going to be air and or space battle at this point.
Close the ship.
So I do
Come on,
pride
dude.
myself on getting the kill,
Cockpit.
but more than that, the more important thing for a pirate is not about getting the kill.
Fuck this guy.
It's about getting away. If you can get away with the prize
Let's go.
and not go to prison, you've won. If you can get a kill too,
I don't know how that happened.
that's even better. So we'll see what happens.
Where is he? Not gonna fuck around with the ballistic.
So we got a Drake Buccaneer with some ballistic weapons against a
No, I
Drake
can't
Cutlass
fuck
Blue.
around. No, think or should I?
Here I am debating on what I should do, and then I decide the hell with it. I've got size 3 Thunderbolt EM missiles. They can absolutely wreck that ship. I should have just done one at a time here. That would have been more than enough. I could have increased the opportunity to get the kill here.
Ooh, that's a good hit.
But in 318, countermeasures are actually really screwed. They don't work real well right now. And I'm going to exploit that here. So this fight's going pretty well at first. And it's just easy mode. Because I can just lob, size 3 missiles at him and I mean, look at that. We're getting good hits. I'm really surprised that he's not dead already. But these are actually proximity missiles, so they explode near the target, and the splash damage is what gets them. Alright, so I want you to notice something here. I'm actually using Panther repeaters and Sucker Punch XL distortion cannons. They don't have the same projectile speed, and that's a problem, because once we run out of missiles, instead of having 4 projectiles that are distortion and laser that are all 1400 meters per second, I've got the Panthers that are 1400 meters per second, and the cannons that are quite a bit less than that. And it just kind of messes with your head a little bit when you're trying to aim at that reticle and get, you know, good hits. Since this video, I have swapped the Sucker Punches out for the, I believe it's DJX3 distortion repeaters that are 1400 meters per second, and it's much easier to hit small targets using all 4. So that is something to keep in mind when you outfit your ships. At this point, if I'd had that set up and it was just me and him and I, it would have been just a matter of time and I could have gotten the kill. But as is often the case, one bounty hunter can turn into 2, and instead of a 1v1, you'll end up with a 2v1. Also, even though countermeasures being broken right now can be exploited by you, you can also be exploited by your opponent. And like I said earlier, I really, you know, at the end of the day here, I just want to escape and be able to sell that last 3 SCU and be able to say, you know, I got away, I made the hit, made the sale, and I didn't go to prison. Here I am making excuses. Yes, it's hard fighting light fighters. Not really in a Cutlass. It's more a matter of managing your merge and your distance to target. So notice here he has the, I think they're called a Rattler or Rattlesnake missiles. Yeah, they're called a Rattler 2s, and they are a size 2 missile that are a cluster munition that expand and multiply. And for a slower ship like the Cutlass Blue, with the countermeasures borked the way they are right now, that's a serious problem.
Okay. We're out of here. We're not going to do 2v2.
So look at that. We have a Corsair that's joined the party. That thing has a lot of firepower. I can essentially turn this into a 1v1v1 if I create some distance, if they're not working together, and I can create some distance between the 2 ships. But if they are working together and they know what they're doing, which turns out to be the case, what that Buccaneer is going to want to do, and what he does, is he's going to keep drawing me back to the Corsair, which has a lot more DPS. Honestly, one volley from the Corsair and they could probably shoot one of my engines off. So I kind of keep recommitting to the fight here because I really just want to get the kill on the Buccaneer and then reassess with the Corsair.
Yeah, he's drawing me towards it. That's what I would do too.
And like I said, he is drawing me towards the Corsair. So at that point, and with dwindling countermeasures, I start to realize that I've already won. I stole the cargo. I made the sale. I've got a crime stat of 3. I don't really want to go to prison. And although I'd love to have the kill, I don't have to get it to consider this a win.
Yeah, they're together.
So yeah, that firepower there, that's no joke. If he catches me just once with that volley, I'm probably done. So I remember here debating what I was going to do and really wanting to stay in the fight. But with those Rattler 2s and my decoys starting to very quickly diminish, as you can see there, it was time to leave. Sometimes the best way to win a fight is simply to live to fight another day. However,
they're gonna know that I went there.
I'm greedy,
So we're gonna go back to the orphanage.
as are most pirates. And guess what we left? We left the dude's body
Probably bounty hunters.
with all his personal items on it. So just to be able to say we did,
How bad do we want this guy's stuff? That's
we're gonna drop
how
in
bad do we want this guy's stuff?
apparently fairly bad. We're gonna drop in and see if we can't grab this body with these items on it and bug out before we get attacked again. So notice the decoys are at 0, like I just said. Noise is at 1.
Alright, so we know it's right here. We don't need to keep doing
This is very risky, but I enjoy the risk. It's fun. So we're gonna drop in just as fast as we can, try to locate the body, try to tractor beam it to the ship in the most efficient, fastest way possible, and get the hell out. Now, having had some experience being chased by bounty hunters
Look, but I bet I can get it out of the
2
side.
different planetary locations, I know again about how much time I have, and that's probably about another 20 seconds before they're on my tail. So I'm not going to go out the back of the ship. I'm going to look through the airlock hatch and see if I can't do it that way. And I intentionally landed the ship the way I did to hopefully be able to do this, and there it is.
That we can. Look at that shit.
So now we have all the cargo, all his stuff,
This is a problem that damn doors on my own ship.
and if we can get away here, I'm going to call this a complete success.
Get in the seat, please.
Especially for a solo player. Everything is harder when it's by yourself.
And they're back. And we're out of here.
Mongrels have a saying that 1 is 0 and 2 is 1, so I might as well be 0 right here throughout this whole thing when I'm doing solo piracy. And really what that means is if you don't have a friend to help out and res you when you become incapacitated, you're taking a massive risk. But turns out we were able to get away. This one was a total win. And it was a lot of fun. That's it for this video. I want to thank everybody for all the recent support. In the last video we reached 1,000 subscribers. Special thanks to Dying on Corpses for being that 1,000th sub. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. And until next time, I'll see you in the verse.